Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Paige Porter. I'm Senior Account Director at Henham Strategy, and it's a pleasure to be here today at techUK's Building a Smarter State conference. And I'm delighted to be here to launch techUK's new report, Financing the Future, Building a Smarter State Through Digital Public Services. Now, this review, developed by Henham Strategy and techUK in partnership with its Public Services Board, makes clear the case for a fundamental shift in approach to procurement processes and funding models for digital procurement. It comes at a pivotal moment in the government's digital transformation journey, with recent publications, including the Blueprint for a Modern Digital Government, offering a strategic foundation for reform and signalling a call for change. Now, the economic case for digital transformation is clear. The recently published State of Digital Economic Government Review estimates that up to $45 billion in annual savings and productivity gains could be unlocked through full digital transformation. And the Technology Adoption Review evidences that every £1 invested in digital technology can generate a return of £5. So the scale of opportunity is truly undeniable. And so this report builds on these foundations and reflects a shared recognition across both government and industry that the pace of digitalisation in the UK has been far too slow for far too long. So this is more than just a technology issue. It's an inherent productivity problem and ultimately a growth issue. If we're serious about realising the benefits associated with digitalisation, we must act decisively and rethink our entire approach to digital transformation. Now, the issues explored in this report are not new. In fact, they are widely recognised by both industry and government. But what sets this report apart is the development of a set of guiding principles supported by both principle-specific and overarching recommendations to enable effective implementation of better digital transformation practices. These have been designed to improve efficiency, foster innovation, and ensure digital procurement delivers real, long-term value for money. The guiding principles have been designed based on the in-depth qualitative research undertaken for this report. Not only have we utilised existing work in this space, but we spoke to a wide range of stakeholders, from government and industry leaders to subject matter experts. We also dug into a range of real-world case studies to bring key themes to life and highlight practical lessons that can shape future digital procurement efforts. Now, from the outset, our goal was clear: to examine how government funding models create barriers to meaningful transformation. But defining funding model was a particular challenge throughout this review. But in the context of digital procurement, we found it to mean two things: how government funds digital transformation and how it pays its suppliers. When it comes to how government funds digital transformation, time and again, stakeholders pointed to the same structural issue: the misalignment between resource expenditure, RDEL, and capital expenditure, CDEL. Now, as many of you will know, RDEL is intended to cover ongoing costs, things like staffing, subscriptions, and maintenance. CDEL, on the other hand, is designed for one-off investments, yet increasingly we see CDEL being used to fund digital delivery. This reliance on capital funding was found to distort incentives. It encourages a narrow focus on upfront costs rather than long-term value and efficiency. And while that may seem logical in a tight fiscal environment, the consequences were clear: reduced flexibility, diminished innovation, and contracts that fail to reflect the continuous, iterative nature of digital transformation. We also found that the way government pays its suppliers plays a critical role in shaping project outcomes. And what I found particularly interesting was that when payment structures don't align with delivery goals, whether through uneven risk sharing, poorly designed incentives, or a lack of focus on outcomes, digital transformation projects suffer and further embed inefficiency within digital delivery. These issues can undermine collaboration, reduce accountability, and ultimately hinder the success of digital transformation efforts. However, as our research progressed, what struck me was how far beyond funding models the issues with digital procurement seemed to go. It quickly became clear that funding reform alone is not enough, and so this review needed to expand its remit to fully understand why progress in this space has been so slow. And it boils down to this: effective digital transformation requires a reimagining of the broader digital ecosystem. Governance and strategic oversight, procurement processes, legacy systems, risk distribution, a digital skills gap, and deep-rooted cultural barriers were all found to constrain progress. And without a broader reimagining, any improvements to funding models would have a limited impact on achieving effective digital transformation. That's why, through this report, we argue for a more holistic approach and call for a fundamental shift in not just how technology is financed, but how it is procured and delivered. What also sets this report apart is that we have grounded our findings in real-world examples. While challenges persist in improving digital service procurement across government, there are notable examples of where procurement has enabled more effective and efficient public service delivery. To better understand the conditions that contributed to these outcomes, we conducted a targeted case study analysis of both public and private sector examples to examine their critical success factors. Now, we learned many lessons from these case studies, which the report summarises far better than I can today. But what I found really striking was that whether it's HMRC's transformation with Capgemini, Camden Council's digital leadership, Estonia's X-Road, Lloyds Bank digital transformation, or the industry-led current account switch service, the key lesson was the same. Success comes when government acts as an intelligent, outcome-focused buyer working closely with suppliers to achieve shared goals. Now, one thing these case studies showed us was that, crucially, there is no one-size-fits-all solution. And to enable more agile, outcome-driven digital delivery, this review recommends embedding 5 guiding principles into procurement policy and practice: flexibility, collaboration, competition, value for money, and pro-innovation. Together, these form a coherent framework for improving digital procurement, ensuring it is aligned with user needs and primed to deliver long-term public value. For example, strengthening digital and commercial capabilities, modernising legacy technology, reforming funding structures to better support service development, and aligning public procurement more closely with successful private sector models are overarching recommendations that we believe will be pivotal to achieving long-term sustainability within digital transformation. These are not standalone measures, but they are foundational enablers designed to reinforce and operationalise the guiding principles, ensuring they translate into tangible, lasting change. So this report is ultimately about enabling a more effective and responsive state. When digital procurement is done well, it doesn't just streamline operations, it delivers better outcomes for citizens and saves the taxpayer money. But to achieve this, the UK must shift away from developing isolated digital products and instead embrace continuous, outcome-focused digital service delivery. But this transformation will not happen by accident. Government must act with intent. By implementing the guiding principles outlined in this review, it can tackle long-standing funding challenges, modernise procurement practices, and mitigate the risk posed by legacy systems. And one point that I must stress is that for a strategic role for the private sector to be central to this change. Unlocking industry expertise in outcome-driven innovation is essential, but this requires government to foster an environment where strategic partnerships can thrive, built on shared risk and aligned incentives. Finally, I want to express my sincere thanks to everyone who contributed their insight and expertise to the project. Your input has been truly invaluable. Thank you.